Okay. So we'll start with this. First, this is a 5 days internship for cybersecurity. So we'll start with the introduction to cybersecurity and then the roadmap for cybersecurity, and we'll go on. So cybersecurity, what does this mean? Cybersecurity. What do you mean by cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is where it comes under you can use a very common name called ethical hacking. Ethical hacking or cybersecurity is an offensive training. Son, last class, you're able to hear my voice? It's an offense. It's an offensive certification. Offensive certification. Say we have two types of certification. One is offensive, the other one is defensive. Certifications, two types of certifications. Defensive certification is where say you should have heard about CCNA. CCNA is a defensive certification. MCSC, Microsoft certification, that is a defensive certification. AWS or SQL, these are all called defensive certification. Why? Because in these certifications, you will learn how to create a network, how you are going to create a network consisting of different computers with a switch, the router, with a firewall. So how you are going to design this? How you are going to design and how you are going to implement this? This will be covered in what? This will be covered in defensive certification. And in defensive certification, you are not concerned about any attacks. You will not concern about any attacks. All you will do is just design this and implement this and make sure that every computer or every resource has network connectivity. As simple as it is. This is called defensive certification. Now coming to offensive certification. Offensive, we have CEH. That's an offensive certification. OSCP. Again, that's an offensive certification. We have different levels of offensive certifications like this, and CEH, that is a base level certification for any cybersecurity professional. So anyone who wish to enter into the cybersecurity domain, probably they will be concerned with what? They'll be concerned with CEH as a base level certification. Now, what do we learn in CEH, or what does this offensive certification mean? In offensive certification, you will not learn about router configuration. You will not learn about switch configuration. You will not learn about cables, computer configuration. No, you will not learn about that. But instead, as an attacker, here, we look from an attacker's perspective. Attacker's perspective in the sense, how an attacker is going to attack a network, how he is going to attack a network, how he is going to attack this computer, how he is going to attack a switch, a router, a firewall or server, how he is going to attack each and every network resource. We'll be looking at that from that perspective. So what tools he is going to use, the tools which he is going to use, the method which he is going to apply, and how he is actually going to perform an attack. This is what we learn in offensive certification, and CEH comes under offensive certification. Now, don't you think this is bad? Learning to attack a computer, learning to attack a server. Do you think this is bad or good? Good. Why is it good? You can protect yourself. So the whole concept of learning about the tools, understanding an attacker is something like this. People working in police department. He is a police officer. Now, if he thinks like Gandhi, everyone is good, nobody is going to commit a crime, you will not be able to solve any case. This police officer here should be knowing how a murder should happen or how a thief should enter a home, how he is going to steal everything, what are the loopholes, how he is going to use the loopholes, and how he is going to perform an attack or a theft. So he has all these knowledge just to prevent any attack or just to solve any cases. So likewise, in cybersecurity, we should be knowing how an attacker thinks, what he is going to do, so that when you are working as a cybersecurity consultant for any company, you will be knowing how these attacks can happen, and you're going to stop each and every method through which an attack is going to happen. That is why offensive certification is very important. And you can take any domain. Say, if you take a website, this is a website. And if in case if you are building a website, normally having your pictures, videos in your website with fancy fonts, that is all okay. But there is something called secure coding practice. Secure coding practice, which every company expects when they are recruiting you. They will not ask you, do you know how to design a website? Yes, that is going to be a question. But apart from that, they are going to ask you questions from what? Secure coding practices. They'll ask you, in case if you are going to design a login page which has what? A username field, password field, and a login button. As a developer, you can design this page. ChatGPT is going to help you with the source code, everything perfectly fine. But you should know what type of attacks can happen in a login page. Can anyone give me an example of an attack which can happen in a login page? SQL injection. Yes, we have SQL injection. That is one attack which can happen. Another attack is brute forcing, which can happen. Third, we can look into attacks like rate limiting. Rate limiting is a type of attack. Or you can look into attacks like broken authentication. Broken authentication, which can happen in a login page. Or you can also look into access level bugs. So as a designer, as a developer, you should be aware that a login page can be vulnerable for these many attacks, so that when you're designing a login page, you should make sure that the login page is not vulnerable to all these attacks. Yeah. Sandil Raj is not vulnerable to all these attacks, so that when you write a coding for this page, you'll make sure that your coding is strong enough to stop all these attacks. Okay, so that is why offensive certification is much needed. So this is an introduction to what cybersecurity is, and coming to the roadmap. Now, every one of you wanted to learn cybersecurity. The main problem is when you decide to learn cybersecurity, what is the first thing which you'll do? You're going to do a self-learning for cybersecurity. So you're going to learn on your own. In that case, cyber security. As we all know, we have one good platform, which is YouTube. So you'll go to YouTube, you'll search for cybersecurity videos, and you'll end up with 1,000 videos. And the videos which you choose, in case if you are really interested, you'll go for videos which are longer than 30 minutes. But in case if you are rushing up, you will choose videos which are less than 10 minutes, because you don't have time to sit and watch the entire video. So what we'll do, we'll start with, say, for example, you might start with the video of SQL injection. And like after 3 hours, you might be watching a video which is totally opposite to SQL injection. This might be a video for SSRF, CSRF, some kind of attack. You don't know where to start and where to end. Why is that? Because you don't have a proper roadmap for learning cybersecurity. And when you look at this pyramid, this pyramid here, CEH or cybersecurity sits at the top. It sits at the top. So while you are trying to learn CEH, you are aiming to learn this. But what we forget is there are few base concepts which is mandatory for learning cybersecurity. So what are the basic concepts? Like you'll have to start with what? A plus and N plus. What is A plus? A plus is basics of computer hardware. Basics of computer hardware, and N plus is basics of computer networking. Basics of computer hardware and computer networking. Now you might ask me, I've come here to learn CH. What is the relation between basics of computer hardware and basics of computer networking? In computer hardware, you learn about motherboards. You learn about motherboards, the components of motherboard. What components do we have? What is the function of each component? You learn about hard disk. What is the basic architecture of a hard disk? You learn about all these things. And in basics of computer networking, you learn about devices. What do you mean by a router? What do you mean by a switch? What do you mean by a firewall? About all these devices, and what is the function of all these devices, and what cables are used for networking, what kind of cables you are going to use, how you are going to crimp a cable, what is RJ45, and about list of all devices which is needed. So this is A plus and N plus, which is the base for CH. And certifications, yes, you have CompTIA A plus and N plus certifications, you can go for that. Now, even when you go till forensics, after CH, you have pen testing. After this, you have bug hunting. After this, you have security analyst. After this, you have forensics. So even when you go till forensics, the basics of computer hardware is needed. In forensics, we have a topic called data recovery. In data recovery, you should understand how a hard disk works. Have you ever seen the inside of a hard disk? Have you opened a hard disk and see? And have you seen like what is inside of a hard disk? When you see the inside of a hard disk, it is going to be like this: internal structure. Hard disk is going to be like this, where you have, this is called platter. This is spindle, actuator arm and actuator. So in case if you're not able to read a hard disk, your computer is not reading a hard disk, what should you be doing? You have connected a hard disk to a computer. Your computer is not reading that hard disk, but you have valuable data inside this hard disk. So what is the first thing which you'll do? Very simple. You can take another hard disk like this, remove this platter, insert the platter in another new hard disk, then check if you're able to read the data. This platter here spins at a speed. It spins at a very high speed. It spins at how many RPM? Rotations per minute. 7,200 rotations per minute. It starts from that. Per minute, it is going to rotate around 7,200 times. So that is why you feel the vibration whenever you turn on your desktop. Yes. So these kind of basic hardware stuffs we learn in A plus and N plus. After you are done with this, then probably you should be learning about CCNA, which is networking. In CCNA, again, you'll be learning about how to, say, for example, how to connect 100 devices. How you're going to connect 100 devices with a router, with a switch. How you're going to configure this. I hope in your college lab, you wouldn't be able to access Facebook, Instagram. They would have blocked it. They should have blocked it in the router using certain rules. So we'll try to understand what rules are there, how to control all these 100 devices, and how to provide network. After this, you'll be learning about servers. You'll be learning about servers where you'll be learning about what? Say Microsoft servers. Microsoft. You'll be learning about Linux-based servers. You'll be learning Linux. You'll be learning about Apache servers. Apache. You'll be learning about Nginx. You'll be learning about what others we have. Nginx, Apache. You'll be learning about WordPress. And one step ahead, you'll be learning about also about AWS, cloud-based. So you should learn about all these things, and then we'll move on to Linux. Why Linux? Linux is the mother of all hackers. So you're going to work on operating system like Linux, and We'll have to know the administrative concept of Linux, what commands we are going to use, how we are going to install a software in Linux, things like that. Now, I'll give you a very practical scenario where this is a person who is learning ethical hacking. He is learning ethical hacking. Now, without this base knowledge, without all these base knowledge, in case if he directly goes for CH, he is watching a video of how to hack a Wi-Fi. How to hack a Wi-Fi, he's learning about that. Now, in his computer, he is installing the tools like this. He's following the same method what is shown in the video, and he is successfully able to hack a Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi's password. Do you think it is going to fetch him a job? No, he's learning a technique. He's learning a technique, but this person here, he doesn't know what is IP address. He doesn't know what is DHCP. He doesn't know what is DNS. He doesn't know what is DHCP lease time, scope, nothing. All he has done is he has watched a video and he has done something to hack a Wi-Fi. Likewise, this person here, he doesn't know anything about servers. He has never installed a server. He has never configured a client. He has not done anything. But he says, just by watching this video, he says, I'm able to hack a server. I can do this. I can do that. Yes, with this technique, he can threaten his friends. But that is not going to get him a job. Interview, nobody is going to ask you, can you hack a Wi-Fi? They'll not ask you that. They'll ask you, what happens behind this attack? What is happening behind this attack? Explain the methodology of this attack and what are the mitigations? What are the countermeasures? They are going to ask questions like this. They are not going to ask you, can you hack this server? Can you hack this Wi-Fi? No, never. They'll ask you what is happening in the background. What is happening in the background and how this attack happens. So for learning CEH, yes, one simpler way is you can learn CEH directly without any of this base knowledge. But in case if you want to get a job, you should be learning, you should be starting from different steps like this. And this is for non-programmers. If you say I'm a non-programmer and can I learn ethical hacking? Yes, you can. This module is for non-programmers, and for programmers, we have few modules to be added. Say you should be learning basics of Java. You should be learning basics of HTML. You should be learning basics of Python, which will help you in understanding few things. So cybersecurity, we have two domains. One for programmers. In case if you're interested with programming, I can say you can go for this domain. Or if you take me, I am BEC, BE Electronics and Communication Engineer. I am not a developer. I can't develop an application, but if you give me an application, I can test that application. I can understand the flow. What is the flow of that? How this code is being done and what is the vulnerability in that code. So you have two domains. One is for programmers. The other one is for non-programmers. First, decide which domain you fall into which category. If programming is not your cup of tea, then please don't enter this programmer domain and make your life complicated because you won't like cybersecurity. Yes, non-programmers, yes, they have many domains. They have network security, they have server security, job designations. You can go for database management, where programming is not needed that much. You can use the tools, you can work with those tools, and you can configure a lot of things for security. Whereas if you're interested in programming, source code analysis is one. Web application analysis is one. So these are the places where you can enter. Website, web application. If you're a non-programmer, obviously network, servers, database, this is going to help you. Fine. So this is going to be a roadmap, and for sure, it is going to take minimum of 6 months for you to slowly learn everything. So it's not going to happen in 1 month, 2 months. No, minimum of 6 months is needed. But this is a professional way of learning ethical hacking or cybersecurity. In case you need a job, then probably you should be covering all these topics and then move to CEH. It will be more relevant. Yes. So this is the basic roadmap, and coming back here. And before we start, we have few basics to cover. This is networking protocols. Networking. So you should be knowing, I'm assuming that you all know this. In case if you are not aware of this, you will have to prepare this. You should be knowing about IP address. You should be knowing what an IP address is, what classes of IP address you have. You should be knowing the difference between private IP address and public IP address, classes of IP address. You should be knowing about, okay, let me type this here in IP. You should be learning about classes. You should be learning about subnets. You should be learning about private and public IP address, public IPs, and you should be learning about, you should be knowing what is a network ID, what is a broadcast ID. You should be knowing about DHCP, you should be knowing about DNS. Pretty much that is more than enough when it comes to IP address. And then when it comes to protocols, you should be knowing about what TCP is, what UDP is, TCP, UDP. You should be knowing about TCP three-way handshake. You should be knowing about TCP flags. TCP flags. You should be knowing about TCP port numbers. These are all mandatory. Without this, you can never ever learn cybersecurity when it comes to networking. So networking base forms this. We are not going to cover this. When we cover this, 5 days is going to be over. We have already covered this in the previous trainings, what we have done. You can go to our channel here, Prompt Infotech. And if you watch the videos of the previous trainings, what we have given, go to playlist. And in playlist, you have network and network security. This was a 10 days training, which was given free of cost. You can go here. You'll have the topics, whatever we have covered here. You'll be comfortable. You have started from the very basic. So it will be easy for you to understand. So you have to go through that. You will have to understand all these concepts. Please don't skip these concepts. These are very basic. Networking, you have so many concepts. You have 1,000 concepts. But we have chosen few concepts which are important for hacking. So if you skip this, obviously you're not going to understand anything in ethical hacking. It's mandatory. And from an interview perspective, if I'm going to question someone on networking, I'll obviously question from these topics. So these are topics which you can't skip. If you want to go for concentrate on a few things which are good, you can go for this. Fine. This is networking. And coming to lab setup. Yes, we obviously know we need a proper lab setup. Why? It's because of this. So you can go here. There are 2 videos. This is network security, 5 days, and this is 10 days. In both of these, we have explained a lot of different things about networking aspects. Go and learn. Now, coming to lab setup. Why do we need a lab setup? We all know we have got only one laptop, which has Windows 10 or Windows 11. Yes. And this one laptop has all important documents, movies, and a lot of interesting things which you have. And you are going to learn hacking. When you're going to learn hacking, the first thing which is going to concern you is this, the risk of your OS getting corrupted. Because you're going to install a lot of softwares. You're going to install a lot of different tools. You're going to perform some offensive task. So probably your laptop might get infected. So first objective is this for virtualization. We are going for a concept called virtualization where we need our laptop to be safe. And this technically is called sandboxing. You need a sandbox environment. Point number 2 is this. We need a virtual lab environment. We need to create a lab. So we need to create a lab environment here. Lab environment. Why? Because you have only one system with you, but you need to have multiple computers like this, where I'll be installing a OS called Kali. I'll be installing a OS called Ubuntu. I'll be installing a lab. But I need all these to be inside my host machine like this. So for this, what we can do is we can install a software called VirtualBox. We are going to install a software called VirtualBox. You can either go for VirtualBox or VirtualBox is a software. You can go for VMware. VMware is again a software. You can go for any of this, or in case if you have money, you say you can afford a lot of money, you can go for cloud-based labs where it is also going to help you. And in case if you are interested with mobile, if you say I wanted to go for mobile testing, I wanted to specifically go for Android-based testing, then there is something called Genymotion, which you can use. This is one useful platform which has a list of all the OS with hardware and software. And this is a virtual environment. So it is something like this where you can install. See here, you can install in your computer. And you can, this will be installed virtually in your computer. And in case you wanted to download a software from Play Store, you can log in, you can install. This looks like an exact mobile where you can test a lot of different things. You can connect with the internet. This device will have an IP address. In case you wanted to attack a mobile from your Kali Linux, yes, you can attack this mobile from Kali Linux and check if it is working or not. So when it comes to mobile, you can go for Genymotion. But what we are going to choose here is this. We are going to choose VirtualBox, which is a very simple platform for installing a large number of operating systems. You have only one laptop, but you want these many operating systems to be installed in your laptop. So what we can do, we can install VirtualBox, and inside VirtualBox, you can install Kali Linux. You can install Ubuntu, you can install a lab environment, whatever you want. That is going to work. So VirtualBox is going to look like this. We'll be sharing you the software drive. You can download this software from there. This is VirtualBox. So now how many operating systems I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 operating systems, which means I have 8 computers. I can turn all these operating systems and I can work just like how I have 8 computers. That is possible. So here we are going to install an operating system called Kali Linux. I'll tell you how we can install an operating system here. Just go to New. This option called New. You can give any name here. You can give whatever name here. That name is going to get reflected here. So I'll type Kali 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this. I'm giving a name here, Kali 1, 2, 3, 4, and the type is Linux, and leave it as such. You don't have to configure anything. Just enter the name, give the type as Linux, then it's all going to be next. This is next here. My computer has 32 GB of RAM. My computer has 32 GB of RAM, and in that, I'm allocating 2 GB of RAM to Kali Linux, which is more than enough. In case you wanted to allocate more, you can go till this green mark here. After this, if you allocate, it will throw open error, because this is a standard recommendation. Until this green mark, you can go, but it's like 2 GB is more than enough for Kali Linux to run. And this is processor. I have 16 processors here, and for me, 1 is more than enough. So you don't have to change anything here. I'll click on next. The size, how much hard disk space you are going to allocate to Kali Linux. So default is 20 GB, which is again more than enough. Don't change anything in this. Click on next. Finish. So now we have completed this. Now, what you'll have to do is you'll have to do one more configuration here. Go to network. And in network, you'll have to choose bridged adapter. Why? This is because your host operating system, Windows machine and Kali Linux needs to be in the same LAN. For that, I'm configuring bridged adapter. Click OK. Now we have done this, but we have to install the ISO file. You'll have to give the ISO file. Again, it will be in the Google Drive, which are going to share it to you. So let me start this. If I start this, it'll ask me, where is the ISO file? So all I have to do is just give the location of the ISO file. I'll choose other. Other, now it is asking me where is the ISO file. The file what we are going to share you is this Kali Linux 2024 to live AMD ISO. So this is going to be a live OS. It will be lighter, but it will not harm your system. It will run with good speed. So you can choose this file called Kali Linux 2024 live and open this and mount and retry boot. Mount and retry boot. Now, all you have to do is go for Kali live, enter. So it's loading the operating system. Now, if you look at this, I have Windows machine which is running. Windows machine is also running here. I have Windows machine. I also have what? Kali Linux which is running. So I have two machines running in my laptop. In case if I want to turn on the third machine, I can turn on. We are not going to do that now, but let us go here. Let it log in. Okay. If you feel the window is very small, you can press right control plus C. Control button plus C. Control and C. You'll have something like this. Now go for maximize. Now you have the entire screen here. So this is your Kali machine. Why we are going for Kali Linux? There are a lot of different operating systems. What is the reason behind choosing an operating system like this? Choosing OS. Huh? It is attack OS. See, for ethical hacking and pen testing, basics of ethical hacking and pen testing, you can use Kali Linux, which will be okay for you. In case, if you're trying for wireless hacking, wireless auditing, and radio frequency, then probably you can go for what? You can go for Parrot OS. Parrot OS. In case you are going for advanced pen testing. For advanced pen testing, you can go for Black Arc. Black Arc operating system itself is 28 GB. So it's a huge operating system. And forensics, you have Deft, you have SANS, you have a lot of different operating systems like this. So choosing an operating system is based on the purpose, is based on the objective. It is not because Parrot OS looks colorful, I'm using this. No. We have to understand the main purpose of all these operating systems. Let me just share the attendance form so that you can online, please fill in the attendance form here. Sure. Why the name Kali Linux? Kali. Why the name Kali Linux? It is derived from the Indian goddess Kali. Kali god. Look at this god. It is in attacking mode. There is one head, one person is lying down, lot of murder, this, that, lot of weapons. So this god is in attacking mode. So it symbolizes, Kali Linux symbolizes it is an offensive operating system which is used for attacking purpose. And that is the reason Kali Linux. And Kali Linux has 300 plus inbuilt tools. Inbuilt tools. You don't have to do anything. When you go to this operating system, look, all these tools are inbuilt. All these are inbuilt. So you don't have to worry about anything. Most of the tools, what you are going to use for password attacks, for database assessment, all these are inbuilt and you can just use these tools. So for that, we go for Kali Linux. Now, when you look at Parrot OS, go for Parrot OS. Now, what is the symbol here? This is Parrot. Yes, this is Parrot. So we have a parrot here. Yes. Parrot, and as we all know, Parrot is flying. So anything which is air related, wireless, Wi-Fi, radio frequency, which is in air, all these things, this operating system has inbuilt tools which can support for radio frequency and wireless. And if you ask me, Kali Linux will also support radio frequency and wireless. Yes, it supports, but support for radio frequency and wireless is more for Parrot. When you try to install any software related to Wi-Fi and radio frequency hacking in Kali Linux, it might throw up an error, but Parrot OS will support you. It will not throw up any error. So it is for that. And Black Arc. Again, Black Arc is one good operating system which is huge, and it is going to help you with that. So we are going to go for Kali Linux, which we have installed, and that is a lab setup here. And coming to server basics. Server, you will have to understand a lot of different servers. You can go to this site mainly for Linux-based servers. Go to this site called Turnkey Linux. turnkeylinux.org. This site has a list of servers which you can practice. The more number of servers you practice, the more good it is. What do you mean by practice? You should download, you should install, you should configure a server and see how it works, so that you can include that in your resume. I believe in your resume, you have a column called skill set, where in programming, most of you will have C, C++, Java, and in servers, you'll have Microsoft Server and Linux Server. You'll have all these things, but that is okay. But you can include more number of servers when you go for this website, Turnkey Linux. Scroll down. If you look at this, you have WordPress. So what you have to do is, you have to download this. Download WordPress. You can have the ISO file. You can download this. Install in VirtualBox. You can install in VirtualBox. Absolutely no problem of your host operating system getting corrupted. So you can install, you can try. And after that, in case you don't want that, right click and click on remove. The OS will get deleted. So installing and removing any operating system is very easy in VirtualBox. And if anything bad happens, it will not harm your host operating system. It will stay inside VirtualBox. So you can try whatever you want. Yes. So we should be knowing a lot of different server operating systems like this. You have a file server. You can download and you can install and you can see how to transfer files using this file server. When we go for content management, WordPress is one. You have Joomla, you have Drupal. You can try a lot of different things like this for web development. For web development, again, you have a lot of different things which you can try. So this site is going to help you with understanding different types of servers. Yes. So what you will have to do is, there is a server in Kali Linux. We have Apache server. Apache server, which is inbuilt. You have Python server, which is inbuilt. Python is used for file sharing. Apache server is a web server here. So what is the use of a web server? What can you do with a web server? You can host a website. So the first assignment goes like this. You're going to configure Apache server. You're going to activate Apache server, and you're going to build your own website, and you're going to host inside your LAN. First, we'll host inside your LAN, then we'll go for out of LAN. So let us go to Kali Linux. In Kali Linux, this is the terminal what we have. The first thing is, in your to-do, you will have to check the IP address of your Kali Linux. IP address of your Kali Linux, if you look at this, what is the IP address of my Kali Linux? It is 192.168.1.106. This is the IP of Kali Linux. In case, if we have 10 dot series, 10.0.0.1, 2, something like that, then you have forgot to change what? You have forgot to change the network from NAT to bridge adapter. Yes. Check the IP address of my Windows machine. My Windows machine IP address goes like this, where it says 192.168.1.101. This is 1.101, and Kali machine is what? 1.106. Both are in same LAN. I can ping from a Kali machine to Windows machine, Windows to Kali. Both are in same LAN. This is your first configuration. Then what you'll have to do is you'll have to start Apache server. So we'll type this command called service Apache to start. Service Apache to start. Apache server is inbuilt in Kali Linux. Yes. So I'm giving this command so that it starts Apache server. Enter. So Apache server is started in the background. Now, how will I verify? So just to give a brief of what we have done here. This is my Windows machine and the IP address of my Windows machine is 192.168.1.101. I've installed VirtualBox inside my Windows machine. And in this, I've installed what? Kali Linux. And in Kali Linux, the IP address of Kali Linux is what? You know, 6. Okay, it's 192.168.1.106. This is the IP address. Now what we did, we started Apache server in Kali Linux. Now how to check the output? Server is started, which means there will be a default page for Apache server and that will be running now. So how to check? Go to your Windows machine and open a browser. And in browser, give the IP address of Kali Linux 1.106. When you give the IP address of Kali Linux, you should be seeing the default Apache page here, which means yes, success. You are given the command to start Apache server and Apache server has successfully started. Point number 1. So we'll try to check this. We'll open up Chrome 192.168.1.106. Enter. This is the default page of Apache. In case if you have not given this command, and now you go and give the IP address of Kali Linux, you will not get anything. Since Apache server is running in Kali Linux, we are trying to access Apache server and we are getting this default page. Yes. So this default page, now, this default page is running because there is a file called index.html. There is this file called index.html, which has the source code of what? Which has the source code of this page. This index.html is a file which is responsible for Apache server to display a page like this. Now, what you have to do is find out where is this page. And open the file. When you open the file, you will have content of what? You will have the source code of this particular page here. You will get the source code of this page. You will have to edit this. You will have to remove this, edit this, and you will have to do what? You will have to come up with your own source code. You don't have to type your own. Go to Google, go to ChatGPT. Just you can give a login page. Which is like this, which has a username, which has a password and a submit button, login button. A simple username, password, and a login button. I'll go here. Chat. Or login page. I'm asking HTML script for a login page. It is giving me this. Yes, it is giving me this. Now what I'll have to do, I'll have to copy this code. I'll copy this code. I'll go here. I'm doing it in Windows. You'll have to do the same in. I'll save it as index.html. Enter. I'll go here. Index.html. When I open this, I get a login page. It's as simple as it is. Now, what you'll have to do, you'll have to do the same in Kali Linux. So in Kali Linux, you'll have to find where is this location of index.html. And this location is in where? This location is in, where will be the location? There is a folder called where. There is a folder called www. Inside this, you have a folder called HTML. Inside that, you will have index.html. Where www HTML. This is by default the location of index.html file in any of the Linux operating system. any Linux-based operating system, you have this folder, and inside this folder, you have this index.html file, where www.html. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'll go to Kali Linux. You can choose. You can go to any folder. You can choose any folder here. You can create a folder. You can go to desktop. You can go wherever you want. Yes, I have the file system here. You have this option called file system. Go to file system. And here, when you look at this, you have where? Yes, where? www, HTML, and you have index.html. And in this index.html, if you open with mousepad or Vim, you have what? You have the source code. This is the source code of what? This is the source code of this page. Now, what you'll have to do, you'll have to delete all this. Delete all this. After deleting, you'll have to paste which code? You'll have to paste the code which you have copied from here. Just paste the code, save the document. Next time, when I refresh this page, I'll not get this, but instead, I'll get a login page like this. You got this? So this is going to be your first assignment, which you are going to try. Assignment 1, create a login page. Apache server. How will you verify? IP of Kali Linux in Windows browser, and it will display login page. And you'll have to submit a screenshot. Screenshot of what? Screenshot of the login page in Windows browser. This, you will have to take a screenshot and you will have to submit in your assignment. You will be given Google Forms. We will send you Google Forms link in your WhatsApp channel. All you have to do is click that form and upload the screenshot of the output, and you will have to submit that. Fine. So this is server basics. We have a lot of different things to learn with servers, but basically to start with servers, you can go for web server, which is quite simple and quite easy. We'll start with this, and then later we'll see about Python server. Later we'll see about different sort of servers which we are going to try. And for lab, yes, we are going to install another lab environment. I'll tell you what lab environment we are going to install, and we are going to try that. And then comes steps in ethical hacking. Steps in ethical hacking. Now, for any attacker, your target can be a mobile, your target can be a website, your target can be a server, your target can be a firewall, it can be anything. Fine, it can be anything, but how an attacker is going to attack, how he is going to perform an attack, for that, we have certain steps. First step is social engineering. Then we have what? We have information gathering, or you call it as reconnaissance, or you call it as enumeration. Point number 2 is scanning. 3 is vulnerability assessment. 4th is exploitation. 5th, privilege escalation. 6th, maintaining access. 7, covering tracks. So these are the 7 steps which any attacker is going to follow before he performs any attack. So here, exploitation. Exploitation is the actual attack. That is the attack phase. For performing this, you need to gather information, you have to scan, and you have to find the vulnerability. Only after that, he's going to perform an attack. It is not like what you see in movies. I have a software, I give a mobile number, it says loading, 100% mobile hack. No, not that. These are the proper steps You can have a domain, you can have a website, anything can be your target, but you will have to do what? You will have to follow all these steps to perform an attack. Vulnerability, which means weakness. Excuse me with my voice. My throat is not good, and that is why I'm not able to speak louder. Yes, so these are the different steps in ethical hacking. And what do you mean by social engineering? Social engineering. Huh? Information. What information? Yes. Using human vulnerability. Using a human vulnerability, what he can do. Say, suppose I wanted to know about a particular company. This company is ABC, right? And there is a person inside this company called Arun. His name is Arun. He is the security head of this company. Now, I wanted to get information about the security devices which is present inside the company. Yes, there are different ways, but a simpler way is this. I create a fake profile in the name of Priya. I chat with them. I get needed information. That comes under social engineering. I call him. I get few information. That comes under social engineering. Without the use of any tools. You're not using any tools. You're just communicating with another human and you're trying to gather information. That comes under social engineering. What are the different other ways with which you can gather information? I'm Shankar here. Now I'll call this person. I can call this person and I can project. This is ABC. Imagine this is a bank. Now I'll say I'm a HR recruiter. I'm calling for a security head position, which is open with XYZ. And your current salary is this. I can get you 40% hike on that. Can I forward your profile? In case if he has already applied in Naukri, which means he is looking for a job. He's looking for a job. I'll schedule an interview. Now, what will you discuss in an interview? I'll ask him, can you tell me any challenging things which you have faced while working in the company? Can you tell me any incident which has happened? I'll ask you, what kind of firewalls have you worked with? I'll ask you, what kind of infrastructure have you worked with? He cannot say that is confidential. Because in an interview, to check his knowledge, I'll have to come up with questions like this, and he's going to give me all the answers. Now, this doesn't involve any tools. No tools. This is called social engineering. Yes, social engineering is where without use of any tools, you're going to get something that is social engineering. And then comes information gathering, scanning. We'll discuss one by one. Obviously, we don't have enough time to cover all these topics, but I'll choose anyone best of all these domains, all these steps, and we'll discuss certain tools in that, and then we'll proceed. Yes. So, Kali next, just try to complete this assignment. You will be receiving a Google Forms link, and you can submit the screenshot of your assignment via this Google form. Yes. Okay. And thank you. We'll meet tomorrow then. Thank you.